Hi, welcome. My name is Sophia Barros, and I'm one of the founders of You Know Your Mindset and a performance and mindset coach. And today I'm going to share with you guys how to hold space like a pro using some of the skills and techniques taken directly from coaching and therapy. Now, I don't know about you, but this is one of those things that was never actually taught to us as kids. We never really got taught in schools how to communicate, how to be there for other people, how to be okay with what's going on around us. And it's one of the areas where I see most of our clients actually struggle to be able to hold space for the people that they care about, and sometimes even for themselves. And why this is so important at the moment is 2020, if ever there was a year to hold space, my gosh, between Australian bushfires, between floods, between COVID, between the racial kind of, clashes that are happening at the moment, the world is in a position where we're stretching and growing, and the need to communicate has never been stronger. The need to be able to have your feelings and emotions heard by the people around you has never been more important. So this is here for you guys to learn a few skills that you can use directly with the people around you, with the community you've got maybe in your workplace, in your career, in your relationships. And we're going to start with 7 ways that you can hold space. So the first way is practicing this idea of loving kindness, this idea that the person in front of you deserves compassion and love. This comes from the Buddhist tradition, and it's really just about seeing this human as this beautiful person, regardless of what they're doing or whether you agree with their ideas, understanding that at their core, they're this beautiful person and soul that just deserves love and respect. The second pillar of holding space is understanding that the person in front of you is actually whole and able and not flawed and incomplete. Already within them are all the resources that they need to be able to do and cope with the situation that they're in. And I get that they may not be accessing those resources right now, and it's hard sometimes to see that, but recognize that they have that power within them. Have that as your mindset when you approach that kind of conversation. The third pillar of holding space is to really walk into that conversation in a space of non-judgment and safety. It's about walking in and creating an openness where it doesn't matter what they're going to say to you. You actually can hold that space, which is where the term comes from, for them regardless. It's safe for them to share their vulnerabilities. It's safe for them to tell you what they're thinking, even if normally it's the kind of thought or feeling that would get them criticized or shunned in the larger world. It's about recognizing that we're not perfect, and it's okay for us to have moments of downtime or moments of imperfection. The fourth pillar of creating space is about active listening. Now, this one is huge, and I don't know if you guys have seen our post on this week, but if you haven't, there's some great resources and skills that break down what active listening is and how to actually perform the act of active listening, which is about listening to understand rather than listening to respond. And there's a lot that goes with that in terms of body language and communication cues. So if you haven't caught it, definitely tune into that post. The fifth pillar is probably the most difficult. It's the pillar of sitting with the discomfort of what they're sharing. Some of these conversations are heavy. Sometimes people are going to share things with you that involve, really challenging emotional states, them wanting to take their lives, them wanting to leave a relationship, them feeling as if they're worthless. That's the lowest and most vulnerable, of the way of our human condition. And it can be very hard sometimes to experience and just sit with that without saying, but you're beautiful, but you're amazing, but you're wonderful. And I get that that's what you want to do in that moment. I totally do. I get that we want to fix their discomfort. But the biggest part of holding space is actually just allowing them to sit in it and sitting in it with them without solving the problem, without jumping in. Because by doing that, what we're doing is really dismissing the emotional struggle that they're in. We're dismissing what they're feeling and what they're going through. And that doesn't really help to make them feel heard or to make them feel like what they're experiencing is okay. And it is. Now, this skill set requires us to be able to sit with our own discomfort, which is pillar number 6. So being able to actually notice what's coming up for us in those moments, and noticing our own tension, and noticing when we want to just run away or when we want to shut the conversation down, and noticing it, but not acting on it. That's the cue here. Notice what comes up from you. Park it to the side and come back and revisit what that was later, but not now. Because pillar number 7, and this is a big one, is keep the focus on them. Do not hijack the conversation. If you're holding space for another person, you're holding space for them, which means you need to create that space for them. If you jump in and say things like, I totally feel that too, this happened to me, I get that that's a natural and normal reaction, but what that tends to do is take the space away from them and shift it to you. Now, I don't know about you guys, but human animals, we like to be liked, and we like to be fair for others. So what will usually happen is that person will shut down what they needed in that moment, which was to be seen and heard, in preference of giving that to you, which doesn't always allow for them to actually complete the experience of communicating what they needed to communicate with you. So I hope that was helpful. It is incredibly challenging, especially in the beginning, to be able to hold space for another person, because we all have a natural tendency to jump in and fix and hug and soothe, or to escape and run and hide. And I get that that's going to happen for you guys. So just notice it, know that that's totally normal, and it's a part of your growing process. And as you get better at this, because no one gets born with this kind of insight, this is a skill that everybody needs to develop, even us as therapists and coaches. As you get better at this, that will become easier. And that's a really cool gift. Imagine what happens when you're able to hold that space and you have the power of choosing when to turn on your ability to do this and to support another person, and to turn it off when you don't want to be able to show up like that. Imagine what that does for your career, for your relationships. Imagine what it does for your ability to support the people that you care about most. It's truly an incredible gift, and I hope you guys use it wisely.